Hello all, I'm Colette here today with Witch Ways, and I want to talk to you today about making a protective winter charm that you can add to make it the perfect gift for witchy or non-witchy friends for any winter holidays. Protection is important, especially during the winter months in the dark half of the wheel of the year. And I like to change out my protective charms on my house at least twice a year, once at winter solstice and once at summer solstice. You can do it whenever you feel like you are inspired or when you feel like your old charm has gotten used up. A lot of people like to do it quarterly or even more often during the wheel of the year. Today I'm using pine for its protective qualities, its evergreen nature that promises that spring will return, and it's also a plant associated with longevity. I'm also using rosemary that I harvested from my yard, and rosemary is for protection, clearing, banishing, and robust health. I'm going to add holly with some red berries on it for strong protection and its association with many seasonal festivals around the world at this time of year. And I'm also going to add mistletoe, which is super powerful as a magical plant. It has a lot of amazing qualities. It's strongly protective. It's an herb of immortality, so it's perfect for winter that helps promise that spring will return. And it also brings fertility to any endeavors. Any of these herbs could be used singly. They could be used in any combination. I often use odd numbers of objects or herbs in my spells, but because I'm doing a winter protection spell, I just kind of felt like I wanted the stability of the number 4, like the 4 foundation sides of a house, and that just felt good to me today. So that's what I did. There's no real way you can get it wrong, especially when you're working with plants. Just look up any plant that's protective. They will help carry the intention. The important thing is the way that you do it feel meaningful to you, and the plants that you use either feel shiny and interesting to you magically, or perhaps you have a special association with them in some way. You can get additional greens like fir or cedar in a park after a windstorm. As I gather them, I take time to honor the trees and offer gratitude to what they do for the world. I like to honor the nature spirits as I'm gathering, and the place that I gather them from with an offering. And even if I don't get everything that I'm going to use in my bundle there, I like to get at least some of them from the wild, because that restores me and provides resilience through the winter months. You can sometimes get some of these things in a nursery or somewhere that's selling Christmas trees as cut branches. This year I got my mistletoe from the local nursery. And the rosemary I got from my garden, but you can also sometimes find it in grocery stores. Some grocery stores will sell small clippings of herbs like thyme, rosemary, and other herbs. I tied the mistletoe together first because it's a bit unwieldy and it's really easy for the leaves to fall off or get damaged as you're tying the whole thing together. So I just wanted it to be in a nice compact bundle. And I used red ribbon because that's traditional for tying mistletoe for protection. And then I started assembling the whole piece of protection, one herb at a time. Once I had them all laid out and played around with how I wanted them to look, I started to tie them together. And I use natural string for that. You can use twine, cotton, jute, or hemp. Red is good, again, for protection for this time of year, but I actually found some green jute and it just seemed really nice to me, and I wanted to have that for honoring the holiday season. And I just got them together in kind of a way. I didn't worry too much about looks. I was more concerned about getting them securely tied. And so when I was done with that, I just kind of evened up the ends of my stems and took another few wraparounds. Once I have it all tied, I like to charge it. And you can charge it in whatever way feels right to you. I like to just hold it in my hands and look at it and take a breath in and breathe my intention of charging out with protection. And that tells the plants what you're doing with them. I like to tie the protective herbs separately. So I'm going to use camellia from my yard and some pine boughs and some fir that I also gathered from the park today. Once you decide what you're going to use, just lay them out. And the big difference for me with doing decorative, larger branches is I might pre-tie it with a string, but mostly what I do is I use floral wire because it's a lot easier to work with and a lot sturdier, and you can pull it a lot tighter on large branches. So I have a bundle here. I feel pretty confident with wrapping just with the wire. But if I didn't, I would add each branch in individually, and when I am ready to add more, I just kind of twist the wire around each other so that it's tight. I have a secure base now, and I'm going to place my magical bundle on top of the bigger decorative bundle and tie it into place. You can do that however that works for you. A lot of wreath making and swag making and garland making is very intuitive. You just do what works. Then I start adding more branches to the sides of my decorative bundle at angles, just to give it some width and a little more heft to it. Wrapping it all with wire as I go. When I'm satisfied with how it looks, I turn it over and make a loop on the back with the wire. Then I just cut the stems evenly, and maybe I will tidy it all up with putting a big piece of ribbon on the top, or maybe I won't. It just depends on where it's going to be and who I'm giving it to. You can add lots of other things as well, anything that attracts you, of course. But specifically, you could add dried orange slices that you've dried in your oven or bought from a craft store. They can represent welcoming back the sun that returns at winter solstice. You can add cinnamon sticks for extra protection and raising the level of magical energy in the room. And you can also add bay leaves for protection and wisdom. Once you've completely finished assembling your protective bundle, you can get ready to hang it. And the way that I like to do that is to completely clear the house with smoke or spritz or whatever means I have at hand at the moment, and then take the old charm down, put up the new one, and then I burn the old one outside and release its energy. This is a great gift for witchy people and non-witchy people. It's an easy thing to make for people who are beginners, and I still use it even though I've been practicing for a really long time. You could add knot magic to it by tying your intention in with the knot when you're putting it all together. You could add small charm figures. You could do a lot of different things with it. If you like this, I am doing a workshop over on my Patreon page this month all about witchy solstice gifts. I am running a promo between now and winter solstice that if you sign up on Patreon, you get access to the downloadable Wheel of the Year journal, as well as workshops for December and January, even if that's not included in the tier that you sign up in. As always, be safe and be well.